Hey guys, and welcome to Fika with Rice, a podcast about life hacks, inspirational life stories, routines, and keys to success. I'm your host, Fredrik, and each week I meet some of the most incredible people in the world, from self-made millionaires, best-selling authors, experts, and world-class athletes. My goal is to extract their wisdom, mindset, tools so you can use them in your daily life, but above all, to inspire you. Let's get this Fika started. Welcome to episode 24 by Fika with Rice. This week we meet Paul Getter, the internet marketing nerd who helps celebrities and companies build household names across social media. In this episode, Paul teaches us the importance of playing the long game, how important it is to have integrity, and what separates the mega ultra successful people on social media and others. He talks about how he worked with Kevin Hart, Ty Lopez, Grant Cardone, and many others. Are you looking to level up your social media? Then this is an incredibly valuable episode with many gold nuggets on how to get started. Let's get this Fika started. This is Paul's story. Let's go. Paul, welcome to Fika with Rice. I am so excited to have you here on the show. You have a very niche background. I love the nerdiness, very special expertise, and I can't wait to ask all the questions that I have.
Thank you very much, man.
Thank you, Paul. And I wanted to start this episode with some rapid fire questions, something I've never done before here on the show. It goes like this. I'll make a statement and then you'll finish it with a sentence.
Okay.
You finish the sentence. Does that make sense?
This could be dangerous.
It's okay. I love dangerous. So.
Okay, great.
If I was 20 years old, I would do...
I would do more fun things.
Okay. Like what, for example?
I would travel more.
Okay, that's something that you wished you would have done more. Okay. I love that. One of my biggest passions is to travel. And I tell all the young people that, you know what, if you have $2,000 to spare, go and travel, because you're going to see different cultures, going to really open up your mind.
Yeah.
Okay, let's go on then. The biggest mistake I made when I was in college was
not building more relationships with people.
Okay.
Yeah. It's more than just the education, but it's the relationships while you're there.
Where did you go to school, Paul?
So I actually went to college at Indiana Bible College. My education is in theology. Nothing to do with marketing.
I love that. Okay. Interesting. Very interesting. The best advice I received from my parents when I was young was...
Man, that's a tough one. Best... these are so tough. It's supposed to be rapid fire, so you're expecting a rapid response.
It's okay. It's okay. I'm keeping you on your toes.
Yeah. So my parents always instilled within me to work hard. That kind of really. I remember when I was younger, my parents had me convinced that I could be the president of the United States. So I think work hard and you can accomplish anything.
So you would say like they really built up your self-esteem and your self-confidence when you were young, so to speak?
Yeah. We didn't have much, but I think that was something that we did have, that they made me feel valuable and important.
I think that's really important, especially in today's world, Paul. A lot of youngsters today, grow up without actually a lot of self-love, a lot of insecurities, and that comes from somewhere, right? It comes from home, right? From their families. And I think I just became a father, and I think that's one of the pillars that I want to give to my child, that, you know what, it doesn't matter how much money you have, but if you can give love and to say that, hey, I'm going to carry you on my shoulders no matter what, and you're going to crush it in this world. It doesn't matter if you're going to become like a fireman or, I don't know, like grass clipper person, like you're going to be the best at it and you'll do your best. So
absolutely.
Awesome. Okay, let's go on. What's the biggest misconception about celebrities is
that they're all happy. Yeah, a lot of people think, oh, celebrities, they got this life. It's, they're you envy to be them. But I have met many celebrities that have all the money you could ever want, but they don't have happiness. Yeah.
Happiness is really underrated.
Oh,
it's really underrated.
Peace is more important than possessions.
I agree. I'm a big reader. I'm really into martial arts, and I read one of the books by Bruce Lee. And Bruce Lee, he used to write down his goals, and carry it on a paper in his pocket. And in that goal, his biggest goal was to have a peace of mind and harmony.
Yeah, peace is more important than possessions.
Exactly. I think there's something that you cannot buy with money. So
yeah.
Okay. I wished I knew when I was 25.
The importance of mentors. Yeah. So the fastest way to accelerate your growth is mentors. Surrounding yourself. I grew up in a low income home. We didn't have much. So the concept of mentors, it really wasn't, mentors. Now, when we think of mentors, is like you pay someone to be your mentor, your coach, your consultant, but a mentor can be more than that. I mean, just finding someone that you can follow in their footsteps and you can, grow from personally.
I'm a big believer in mentors too, Paul. One question I get a lot from young people is, well, I would love to have a mentor, but I don't know anyone.
Yeah.
Like what would you say about that? Like how does one go about finding one without paying,
Yeah,
when you pay, it becomes transactional,
Yeah, absolutely. So here's the thing. Like I get messages from young guys, and for that matter, people of all ages. They'll send me a message. Hey, will you be my mentor? And what they don't realize, being a mentor is work. It's responsibility. It's holding a person accountable. It's that. What they're saying is like, teach me everything you know. I want you to be my mentor. Well, that's kind of like, me coming to a construction worker and say, hey, build me a house. You know what I mean? It's just like, it doesn't work like that. So the best way to do it is if you have a skill, if you have something that you're good at, find those people that you would like for them to be your mentor, and go to them with your skill, with your talent, with your gift, and say, hey, I'm a great graphic designer. I would love to design your graphics for you, no charge. What that does is that gets you in the door. That gets you close to that individual. And then you begin to build a relationship, and that's free. Next thing you know, they're inviting you to their event. Hey, you've been such a great help to me. Why don't you come to my event? Hey, I want to give you access to my courses. And they become a mentor just because you're adding value to them.
I love that. That's very natural.
It works too. And it can even turn into a paid position with that person. Yeah.
I for some of the mentors that I really encountered that became mentors in my life, it was natural like that. Yeah. I was helping that person with something, and then next time I was in town, I was like, okay, let's go for a coffee, and then you're building relationship, right? And then it's Christmas, sending a Christmas card, and then it's like, well, you're not going to bother this person every week, but once in a while you might be sending like, okay, this is the challenge I'm dealing with, and what do you think of this? And then, well, suddenly you have a mentor-mentee relationship.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, Paul, you're the internet marketing nerd, and I love your background. And for those that are listening, there's an amazing Avenger collection of very high value. I understand from Paul in his background here, but in your Instagram bio, it says that you help people become household names and build 7 to 8 plus figure sales funnels for celebrities and the top 1%. What does that mean for those in the audience that don't know you, Paul?
So basically, I say help people become a household name. It's taking the unknown individual and making them known and then well known. So it's taking them from obscurity to what we would call celebrityness, whether it's an online coach, consultant, an aspiring actor or artist, musician. We help them build that personal brand, become a rock star. You know what I mean? That's a lot of people, they want to become a rock star. And then, a lot of times people have this online presence, this persona, and they're rock stars online, but they haven't really learned how to leverage it and turn it into a lifestyle, an income, a career. So we build systems for them that can help them monetize their online presence. I call it taking them from rock star to revenue, building that online personal brand and then turning it into something that can be a full-time lifestyle and business.
How did you become so great in this?
Well, first of all, thanks for saying I'm great in this. But in the online marketing world, what I've seen is a lot of people learn a few things online, get a small amount of success, and then they try to position themselves as the expert, the guru. I made $10,000 on Shopify. I'm going to teach you how to, and so that happens often in the online world. Well, one of the things that I have a huge advantage is number one, my age. I've been in this a long time. I can say that I've been around before the internet. So I was doing MySpace marketing. You know what I mean? It's just so I've been doing it a long time. I've worked with some amazing people, and there's one thing that really separates me from an average person is my experience. Our agency, we've spent over $1 billion in paid ads. So that experience gives you knowledge and data that it may take people a lifetime to acquire that, but it's something that we've done over the years. Experience.
Yeah. Wow. So I'm happy. I mean, I don't look very old, but I mean, I'm also before the internet time, I'm from that generation.
Really?
And yes. And it is true, like marketing today, I mean, and personal branding, it's very different to what it was 15 or 20 years ago,
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
When you started, Paul, do you remember who was your first client?
So my first client was individuals that you probably have no idea. They were nobody famous, nobody important. I started, when I first got started, I had a friend of mine that was going off to college, and they said, "Hey, Paul, you need to get on Facebook." And I remember I jumped onto Facebook, and it was only out. It was like brand new. Facebook was like, "Whoa, check this out. It's this brand new app, this brand new world." And I remember jumping on there, and I was like, this is just games. This is, wasting my time. I shouldn't do this. And but then I started playing around with it, and I saw occasionally businesses would put, a Facebook page out there. And so I decided to put a Facebook page out for my church and set that up and, just put pictures and videos, information about it. And I remember it was a few weeks later, I went to church and there was this new family there. And I said, "Where did you hear about us at?" And they said, "Oh, we saw you on Facebook." And it was like a light bulb went off. I was like, whoa, these are real people that came from, that Facebook thing that I made. And so I guess you would say my first client was our church, unpaid. But then I just went to, restaurants And at this time, I think, people understood, hey, this social media thing might be something we should be interested in. So a business would set up a Facebook page, but then they wouldn't do anything with it. So I would go to businesses and I would look, and sometimes you would see on their menu, they would have like a little Facebook icon. And then I would get on my phone, I'd look real quick and I'd say, oh, they haven't even done anything with it. So I would talk to the business owner and I'd say, hey, I see you have a Facebook page. Are you getting clients or customers from it? No, we don't even really know how to use it. Well, here I am. You know what I mean? Let me show you how to use it. And so my first customers, my first clients were mom and pop restaurants and pizza shops, ice cream shops, and things like that.
Okay. And then down the line, you grow to bigger and bigger accounts.
Yeah. And you start, doing work for celebrities and big online personalities. So I was working with a client. It was another church, because I figured out how to do things online for churches and stuff. So I was doing marketing for a church over in Los Angeles, and just helping them get leads and sell books and things like that. And I remember one time I went onto the website and I started looking at this guy's website. Church was located in Beverly Hills. I started going through and I was like, this guy's got a lot of celebrities at his church. I was like, whoa, that's interesting. So I started giving him very special attention. You know what I mean? Like really going overboard, over delivering. And one of the guys in his church connected with me, and I started doing business with him. And one day, this guy who I was helping him generate leads for his business, he went to the barber shop, get his hair cut, and the barber was talking with him. He's like, hey, how's everything going? He's like, hey, it's going great. There's this guy over in Florida. That's where I live in Florida. There's this guy over in Florida. He's been doing some really interesting stuff for us online, and things have been growing and stuff. And one thing led to another. The next person that sat in the barber's chair was Tai Lopez. And like I said, one thing led to another. People on his team started calling me up. And I think he was probably one of the first individuals that people would know of that I started working with.
Okay, that's interesting. I remember when Tai Lopez started to be like popping up on the internet. I think it was 2016 or 15, if I'm not mistaken.
So I was actually working with him before then.
Okay, wow. Okay.
Yeah. So I remember I was at a conference, and the speaker was talking, and they said, anybody see this Tai Lopez guy? He's popping up all over the place. Who is doing his marketing? Who's behind this and stuff? And at this time, I was kind of like behind the scene type guy. I didn't want anybody knowing what I was doing. I was just kind of real private. And they're just going on and on talking about Tai Lopez this, Tai Lopez this. And my friend sitting next to me, he elbows me. He's like, bro, they're talking about you. And I was like, I think maybe they are. And so I went up to the guy and I talked to him. I was like, I've been managing Ty's online presence now for a while. You might be referring to some of the things that we're doing. He's like, let's talk.
That's amazing. Okay, so you talk about experience, and I'm coming from an humble standpoint right now, Paul, but for example, like yourself, you're not The Rock, right? You're not a mega celebrity. And I'm looking at Instagram right now on my phone, and you have like 1.1 million followers.
Sure.
How do you do it? I mean, that's a dream for a lot of students, a lot of entrepreneurs, a lot of people out there, a lot of athletes.
Yeah. So any social media platform, there are hacks, tips, and tricks to growing. One of the first things that you'll learn about social media platforms is be an early adopter. One thing you'll also notice about my Instagram is my Instagram handle is Paul, just Paul. So obviously I was an early adopter of Instagram. So I was initially known as the guy to grow your Facebook page. I would take Facebook pages from, 100,000 or zero for that matter, and build them to millions of followers within a short period of time. Done this for numerous companies, numerous personal brands, taken them to millions of followers through paid traffic, through shout outs, through organic strategies, a lot of different methods. So when Instagram first came out, I was like, I got to jump on there. People may not realize this, is Facebook and Instagram were not initially connected. They were two separate companies.
That's correct.
Facebook bought Instagram, but I jumped on it and I was an early adopter. So I, with many social media platforms, what you see is when you first get started, the organic reach is amazing. And so anytime they release a new feature, jump on that new feature and you utilize that, and you'll start to get a lot of organic growth. So quite frankly, the growth that I experienced was something that a lot of people, when they first got in, they experienced it too, just by, man, there used to be a day where you'd post a picture of food and use hashtag food. And next thing you know, you got 20,000 followers. You know what I mean? It's just like, it was crazy like that. So obviously things have changed, but I still invest a lot of time in resources in growing and good content. And, I do a lot of conferences, podcasts, and travel, and, so that growth continues.
So it's very interesting what you're saying, about being an early adopter. Like we have TikTok that emerged a few years ago, and Clubhouse that I think is the latest. It hasn't grown as fast as, at least what I assumed it would grow. But there's a lot of people in the audience who would love. I mean, they really are into life lessons and tactical advices. And they want to build a brand. Like someone like me, I have 4,000 followers on Instagram, Paul. People have 2,000 or 500 or 200. Besides shout outs, besides ads, besides good content, what are some other tactical things that people can start doing like right away?
Yeah, well, you named a couple of the common is shout outs, paying people for shout outs. It works. It's slow. Sometimes it might work. I have another page that is called Nerds. Like the handle is just Nerds, NERDS. And I've done like for Paul, my Instagram handle, Paul, I've done a lot of tricks and hacks and things like that, paid ads, giveaways, that was real big, and people still do that. They call them giveaway loops, where a big influencer or a celebrity, like we've done them with Kevin Hart and individuals like that, they'll be giving away a Tesla, but to be entered into this drawing for the Tesla, you have to follow these 20 people, and then they tag it. And so you can pay for a spot in that giveaway, and you can gain 50, 100,000 followers really like within 2 or 3 days. Then from there, if you look at Nerds is just strictly, repurposed content. So what I do, and it grows, not anything too crazy, but it might grow 5,000-10,000 followers a month, which I think a lot of people, that would be pretty exciting to them. 100% real organic growth. And what I do on that page, and I do this with other pages too, and I see similar type growth, is I will find content that is viral. And what I mean by that is I will go through my Explore page and find a video that's in my niche, using the hashtags and stuff. And I'll find the one that has the most views, the most comments and everything like that. And then I'll just download that video, and then I post it on my Instagram. I always tag that account and everything like that, give them credit for it. But if you look on that page, it's 200,000. If you just scroll through, it's all reels. 90% of it is reels, Instagram reels. But you will see videos on there that have 1 million views, 2 million views, 5 million views. Well, when a video hits, like you'll probably I do 3 posts a day, and with the most viral reels that I can find. And I will probably have 2 or 3 videos a month that go viral that will get me, thousands of followers from it, because people, they will click on that video, they'll go back and be like, oh man, he's got a lot of really cool content here. And then what I will do for that, for my own personal brand, is I will, maybe like 1 in 10 videos, I will do one of my videos in there. So I'm like dropping it in there. It's, it's authority through association. This is reels with all these popular videos on there. And then all of a sudden I'm in there. So it's aligning me with all these other viral videos too. So it's great for branding. It's great for growth, and it's fun. I think it's great content too.
Okay. Okay. Thanks for explaining that. I was going to ask, why do you have 2 accounts, first of all, and then why you were like reposting these reels? But I think you answered the question I wanted to ask, which is...
You'll also see in that Nerds page that I promote, like I have a book called 27 Side Hustles. I will promote that. So I capture leads, generates revenue, and builds my audience further.
Okay. But the idea is basically to associate yourself with these reels and these other brands or these other people, and then hopefully get that attention to your own personal brand, if I'm understanding it correctly.
I can push people over to my other page. I can, again, generate sales from it. I can, it has a lot of different purposes.
Okay. That's a very good tip, for a lot of people out there. So,
yeah.
Paul, you worked with a lot of brands. You mentioned Kevin Hart. I love his Instagram and his videos, and his workout videos. They're very inspirational. I remember a few years ago when he ran the New York Marathon. That was really, really awesome and super inspirational to follow his story. But for someone who's starting out, just graduated, or someone who just started his own company or her own company, how do you dial down on your brand and your content? For you, Paul, I mean, you come across as you are this Marvel geek, and you love that, and the bow tie and all of that. But how about for those that don't like bow ties, don't feel comfortable in that, in suits, or I don't know, don't have any passions or whatever? Or how about someone like me? I'm a jiu-jitsu geek. I love jiu-jitsu, martial art. I'm a big Juventus fan in soccer. How do you dial down on your brand, so to speak, and how do you come across as authentic?
That's the main word, is you have to be authentic and true to yourself. The bow tie and the glasses, this is like really me. I wear this every day. It's not like I take it off when I'm done. This is just like authentically who I am. I authentically like superhero. I like nerdy stuff. I am what they would call a nerd, but I see that nerd as a superpower. You know what I mean? It's kind of like every big company, every big brand, every big celebrity, they have a nerd that has worked behind them, and everybody needs that. I mean, you recognize where your giftings are and what you are the best at, and then after that, you hire other people to do it. So, I can tell you, Kevin Hart is not building his own website. Kevin Hart is not doing his own marketing. He's got a nerd behind the scene that is doing those technical things for him. So that's kind of, for me, I just embrace the obvious in my life. But I think for individuals who are trying to search that out, trying to feel where they fit, is number one, determine where you can serve people the best. What is your own personal gift? What is your own personal superpower? And then you focus in on becoming the best at it. Here's one thing that I've seen about authentic brands is it never really starts out as someone promoting themselves as the expert. You know what I mean? That's not reality. You don't just step out and say, I'm the expert. People identify that in you. You know what I mean? So I didn't come out like, hey, I'm the internet marketing nerd. people began to recognize that in me, and I embraced it. People pointed to me and pulled me up on stage and said, "Hey, this is the guy that is behind the guys. This is the guy that has been building our brand." And so it was very authentic. It didn't start out. Obviously, in branding, there is self-promotion, but it's not authentic self-promotion if other people haven't identified it first. You know what I mean? That's where I think these gurus come across as fake or immature, is because they're calling themselves the expert, but nobody else is. You know what I mean? So it's like, it's one thing when you call yourself the expert, the guru, or whatever, but when other people recognize it in you, it means something completely different.
So if I'm understanding you correctly, Paul, so let's do a case study then. So for example, Tai Lopez,
right.
If my memory is correct, he was famous. His gift was reading a lot of books. So what he wanted, because nobody knew him, he put out content. He didn't want to come across as an expert. He just wanted to put out content. Hey, I'm reading a lot of books. I'm reading a lot of books. You should read a lot of books. These are some summaries, basically. Is that what you're meaning? Like identifying what you're good at and then putting it out there?
Yeah. So here's the thing. I think there's probably certain attributes in our life that we do that make us unique. And so emphasize that, magnify that. Funny story about the infamous Here in My Garage video. A lot of people don't realize the story behind that video. For those that are listening, or if you're not aware of that video, there's a popular video of Tai Lopez where he's in the garage. He's got the Lambos there, and he says, what's more valuable than college is knowledge. And he has a bookcase full of books in his garage, which is a weird thing for somebody to have. A couple Lambos there, and then a bookcase full of books in the garage. Normally books are inside the house in your library or something like that. Well, the story behind that is Tai had ordered a bunch of books, and they arrived at the house when he was gone. And his brother Ben called Tai up and said, "Hey, man, all these books arrive. What do you want me to do with them?" He said, "I don't know. Just put them in the garage. There's shelves in there. Just put them in there, and I'll take care of them later." So it was not really intentional. Let me put these books here. It was kind of an accident series of events there, but it propelled him into what he's known for now. And he's authentically a very passionate reader, and he's a wealth of knowledge, and he loves it. That's who he is. So.
Okay, so for those out there listening in the audience, whatever gift, they need to identify their superpower, their super gift, like the Avengers, whatever they're good at, and then put out as much content as possible. Don't pretend to be the expert. Wait for the audience to tell you that you're the expert.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Okay, that's a good one. That's a very good one, like clear action steps on how to move forward. There's a lot of platform out there, Paul. You have LinkedIn, Instagram, TikTok, or some that we spoke about today, YouTube even. As a student, as a new entrepreneur, you might get overwhelmed. There's a lot of advice there who says you need to be narrowing down, maybe put all your eggs in one basket. What's your take on it? And
so it's whatever you can do. I mean, let's be real. Not everybody can have the time for all the platforms to make the content for it, but it really comes down. I remember having this discussion with Tai Lopez, and he was saying, he said, I see the most sales and the most leads come through Snapchat. I was like, really? I wouldn't have thought that. And so in my mind, I'm thinking, wow, Snapchat is the place to be. Let's be on Snapchat because he's getting a good ROI on Snapchat. Then I took a step back and I looked at all of his social media platforms. And I saw Instagram, he posts, a few times a week. Facebook, a few times a week. But when you went to Snapchat, he was posting 4 or 5 times a day. So the reason why he was getting the biggest bang for the buck on Snapchat is because that's where he was putting most of his time and attention. So yeah, wherever you can commit the most time, that's where you should put it. I think it is important for us to recognize that all of these social media platforms are free. You know what I mean? So to put as much content out there as possible is great. But the reality is we don't always have enough time to do that. You can repurpose content, from YouTube and splice it up and put it on TikTok and Instagram and everything like that. Gary Vee teaches in his books as far as, you have pillar content. So it's one piece of pillar content, then you cut it up and you use it on all the platforms. You can do that. My opinion on that is it doesn't always work as good if you're really operating in those platforms in a full focus way.
Which platform is the easiest to build a brand, you would say, in the social following? Or does that even matter? Because what you're saying, Paul, was, okay, just put enough attention on one platform and that's where you're going to get results.
I believe that's the answer, is wherever you put the most attention is where it's going to grow the most. I hear people say, "Oh, do LinkedIn, man. There's so much on there and stuff." You do have to understand the culture of each platform. You know what I mean? So that is important. It's like what you would do on TikTok, you're not going to do on LinkedIn. You know what I mean? And so what content appeals to people on each platform? That's probably the first step, is you got to know this is the type of content that appeals to, those followers on that platform. And you have to dial in and, because every platform has trends, it has waves, certain hashtags that are doing good, certain songs, certain things that you do that if you did, this song and this hashtag on LinkedIn versus TikTok, is not going to make sense. So it is important that the platform or platforms that you utilize, that you're a student of it and you're aware of how to properly present your content to that. I like to call it a culture, because every platform has its own culture.
I completely hear you. I think the culture is changing and evolving as well. I remember when LinkedIn was created, I was quick on it, and it was just all about like professional things. And right now people are like posting about their dogs and their children, and it's becoming a little bit more relaxed. People have the guard down, and I like it. I like it a lot. The culture, how it does evolve, LinkedIn.
Yeah.
And the reach, it's still good.
Yeah. Same thing can be said about TikTok. TikTok was just, for teenagers a couple of years ago. Now you've got legitimate businesses that are on TikTok.
It's true. I mean, there's 50-year-old lawyers, on TikTok.
Yeah, so. Absolutely. I've seen lawyers, doctors, every profession on TikTok. When a couple of years ago, you're like, what is this guy doing on TikTok? But
it is true.
Yeah.
It is true. Okay, but let's talk about posting then, Paul. Like, okay, so a lot of like, when you go online, you're like, okay, what should I be posting?
Yeah.
People always say, well, you need to be putting things that add value to your audience. But when you start off, first of all, you might not have an audience, because everyone starts with 0, right? So is it better to post things that you think your audience would find value, or you think somebody would find valuable? Or how do you keep it personable so people can actually resonate with you?
Yeah. So
when you're building your brand.
Yeah, that's a great question. If you scroll through my Instagram, you'll see a funny story in my Instagram on Paul, uh, because I was trying to figure it out, and my number one goal was acquire followers the cheapest, easiest way. You know what I mean? And which that can be a dangerous game because acquiring a lot of followers is not always the best goal. There's some people that can do more with 10,000 followers than an individual with 100,000 followers. So in my Instagram, you'll see a little story. You'll see when I first started posting, it was pictures of food. It was pictures of me traveling or whatever. Then you'll see a wave where I was posting viral cat videos, and silly, goofy videos like that had nothing to do with internet marketing or who I was. But I was just like, I knew if I posted this viral cat video, I would get a bunch of followers from it. And my Instagram grew because of that. But then I have a bunch of people that are following me because of a viral cat video. You know what I mean? So there's in here, post another viral cat video, and everything like that. And I didn't want to be known as the internet marketing viral cat video guy, So I had to adopt and realize that for my audience, the people that I wanted to resonate and connect with, I had to provide content that they liked. And so here's a thing when we say providing value for content, a lot of people think that it's like, oh man, I gotta wow them. I've got to educate them. I've got to show them some type of cool hacks. It really isn't that. It's just, I always tell people, think of it this way. Provide content that when a person wakes up in the morning, they're like, oh man, I got to go check out what Paul posted today. So it could be an inspirational quote. It could be something funny. It could be something of who you authentically are. And of course, you do want to have content that positions you as the expert or someone that is adding value in your industry.
You make a very good comment about posting. You said, okay, post, let's say somebody posts in the morning or they post every day. Is there a specific schedule that you would recommend to the average person to follow? Like batching the post, maybe we're doing them every Monday, or what's your take on that? What would you suggest?
Yeah. So a lot of times people, when it comes to making content, they make it maybe more complicated than what it is. You could probably take a couple hours and make a month's worth of content, a post a day or something like that, just by writing it down. Of course, having someone that is good in graphic design and someone that can help you with videos and maybe a team that obviously speeds things up. But I always tell people, don't be paralyzed by perfection. That you don't have to be perfect online. I know there used to be this style, like you wanted your grid to look perfect and everything like that, and just symmetrical and stuff. It doesn't matter. It's just about giving content. Yeah. So when it comes to content, I think it's important for us to understand that you could probably do all your content for the month in just like 2 or 3 hours. I mean, if you sat down, took notes, found ideas, just Googling and looking at other people's content, get inspiration, and then make your content plan for the month, you probably do it in just a few hours. Then from there on when to post and how much and stuff, I think that's kind of a case-by-case situation. It's really interesting when it comes to, say, for example, Instagram. I've seen some people, if they post videos, it does really good. But if they post just a picture, that does better. So it's kind of what your audience likes or they gravitate towards. That's what type of content you should do. And the same would be said as far as how much and at what time. I mean, what time you post versus what time I post is going to be completely different, just simply based upon your audience being awake or asleep or things like that.
It's true. I guess you'll have to just play around and mix things up to see what really works for you.
Yeah, absolutely. Within Instagram, for example, there's analytics where you can actually see what post got the most engagements, the most likes, comments, shares, everything like that. It shows you in the analytics. I always tell people, look at those analytics and see if there's a pattern. You might see that reels are doing amazing, that a video or a carousels and you can actually see by looking at the post which one gets you the most followers. So all of those things, looking at your analytics can teach you a lot.
When it comes to growing, for example, on Instagram, Paul, what would you say is the tactic that gives you the fastest growth, so to speak? We mentioned some in this episode, shout out, contest, and etc. Videos, reels. Yeah. What's the number one, you would say, tactic?
So I would say that the number one best quality follower would actually be from paid ads. Again, it's not the cheapest, and it's not the easiest, and depending on your budget, it's not going to be the quickest. You know what I mean? I've had clients come to me and say, Paul, I want 1 million followers, and I want it to be this type of follower, and they say, I want it done in 4 months. And I tell them, well, it's going to be a lot of money. It's going to be $1 million or something. Like, go ahead, do it. You know what I mean? So the average person does not have $1 million to spend on Instagram followers. But the strategy that we would use is we would go through a client's content and find the content that is doing really well. And then we would promote it with a call to action for people to follow. And the number one, like the pillar of growth when it comes to Instagram is you do have to have content. So if you know anything about, like, say, for example, Facebook ads and Instagram ads, Facebook actually has the objective for ads that I can set up an ad, and the core objective is to grow that Facebook page. And what happens is a person will be scrolling through Facebook, and it'll have kind of like your profile picture and a little bit about your page. And all they have to do is just click the button, like, and then you get another follower on your Facebook page. Person does not even have to visit your Facebook page to become a follower. So understand, on Instagram, completely opposite. For a person to follow your page, they have to go to your page. So they're going to make a judgment. When they go to your page, they're going to scroll through maybe the first 3 or 4 rows. Yeah, I like their content, or I don't like their content, and then follow you. So that's paid ads. A little ninja nerd trick that we've seen work is take, say, like page A. And page A, you're going to run ads from. And to run ads, your page has to be public. You know what I mean? But then you have page 2 that you want to grow. You make that page private. And then you run an ad that says, a little bit about the, page B that you want to grow. And you have this ad that is running on page A, an amazing page, amazing content, and you tag the page that is private. And so what happens is people will go to that page that's private and they will follow. They don't even see the content. So it's just, I've seen people where they do a viral video on page A. They'll do a viral video, and right before the wow on the video, they'll stop it and they'll say, to see the rest of the video, follow this page. And then they'll make that page private. You know what I mean? And so to see the rest of that video, you have to follow that page as private. So there's a lot of little tricks, but really, when it comes to growing, I think one of the things that looking back, growing fast is not always the best answer. It's growing quality.
When you say quality, Paul, what do you mean quality? Do you mean quality in terms of who's actually following you?
Yeah. The quality of follower that you have, because again, like I said, it's better to have 10,000 very honed in, passionate followers of yours versus 100,000 that just followed you because you had a viral video. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I hear you, Paul. That's very interesting. What's the biggest pitfalls then when it comes to building a social following? Because you worked with Kevin Hart, Ty Lopez. Maybe you can name a few others for those in the audience that don't know. But what's the biggest pitfall that you've seen when you build a social following that often is not spoken about?
Yeah. So like you said, I've worked with some amazing people: Ty Lopez, Grant Cardone, Bob Proctor. Bob Proctor just passed away recently. Bob Proctor, Les Brown, Kevin Hart, Kevin O'Leary. Just a list of names. So here's the scary thing about these social media platforms and growing a following is you don't own them. I mean, it's not yours. I've seen it. Like when we first started building Facebook pages, if you had 1 million followers and you posted on your page with 1 million followers, you'd get 1 million likes. You'd get 1 million comments. The organic reach was amazing. So people would invest a lot of money, a lot of time in building these Facebook pages. And then one day Facebook said, hey, we're changing our algorithm. And a page that has 1 million likes, 1 million followers that would normally get 1 million likes on every post now only gets 10,000 likes. And so people will go to that page and they'll be like, oh man, they got 1 million followers, but they're only getting a few thousand likes. Must be fake likes. No, it's not always the case. Sometimes the platforms change their algorithm. And so you've invested all this time and money and it was working good and it was a great investment until they flip that switch and things change. And so I think every social media platform, in my experience, has gone through phases where organic reach is amazing, and then things change and to grow becomes more difficult and everything like that. So that's a pitfall.
Okay. How was it to work with Kevin O'Leary? Well, for those in the audience who don't know Kevin O'Leary, by the way, he's Mr. Wonderful in Shark Tank.
Yeah. So some of the entrepreneurs that we've worked with, we work in various capacities. I think with Kevin, we did consulting for his products and services. The one thing that, it looks great on your resume to say that you've worked with, these big name people, which it's always an honor and really amazing. But sometimes your interaction with them is quite limited. So a lot of times you're working with their team. You know what I mean? I'm working like for him, we worked with, probably an agency that was working with him and things like that, helping him promote conferences. A lot of things people don't realize about Kevin O'Leary. He does conferences all over the world where he teaches and coaches people in that. So yeah, but it's always cool to be able to say, yeah, you've worked with them and stuff, but the interaction that you would have, I can say like Kevin Hart, I've actually sat down and had dinner with him, which I thought that was pretty cool. But
oh my God, that would be amazing. Yeah. Not that I would be starstruck, but I mean, he just seems to be a really, really cool guy, honestly.
Yeah. Absolutely. No, and so that's the funny thing is, so if you go to my Instagram, you'll see I have pictures and videos of a lot of the big name people that I've worked with. Kevin Hart, I don't have a picture or a video with because so literally I'm having dinner with him. I'm right here and I can reach over and touch him on the shoulder. I shake his hand. I'm, like right there as close as you can get with him. But there was this in my mind, I didn't want to be like this starstruck fanboy that's like, Mr. Hart, let me get my picture with you. I didn't want to come across that way. But I remember I was sitting there with one of my friends who helped make the introduction. His name is Alan. He's sitting here on this side. And I'm saying to him, like, bro, man, we need to get a picture with him. We need to get a picture with him and stuff. He's like, yeah, we'll do it. Because we saw as we're sitting there at dinner with him, people would come up that were on his team or friends of his. Hey, man, can I get a picture? And so we're like, okay, it wouldn't look so bad because everybody else is getting pictures that we. So I was like, hey, let's get a picture. And we're like, and then all of a sudden, like 2 minutes before we were getting ready, he's like, oh man, I got to get going. I got a flight taken out. Like, and so we were never able to get a picture, but I sat and had dinner with him and stuff. So yeah, it was a very cool experience.
First of all, Paul, I compliment you for being honest and real about how it is to meet with celebrities and say that you worked with them, but you had limited like time with them, because very often I talk to people and, you know, they put on LinkedIn or Instagram that, hey, I worked with, I don't know, like Rihanna. And then you're like, yeah, how was it to meet with her? And they're like, oh no, I actually never met her, but I worked with her team, you know, and they try to like put it under the carpet.
Yeah. All the people that I stated that I work with, I've actually met them, you know, either online or shaken hands with them and stuff like that. So I did have access, but, you know, sometimes it's a quick Zoom call, you know, 20, 30 minutes or whatever. And there's 10 other people on the call and you're just giving your feedback. So it is limited. Other people, you know, like Akon, the artist Akon, talk to him on a regular basis. You know, things like that. Ty Lopez, I'm good friends with him. I've, you know, talked to him on a regular basis, and you know, we've done dinner more times than I can count. And same thing with Grant Cardone. You know, I was in his office 2-3 times a week for over a year, consulting, working with him. So these Bob Proctor, Les Brown, I've hung out at his house and stuff. So a lot of the big name entrepreneurs in the space, it's more than just a quick photo shoot. You know, so this is what I've seen the same thing where people like, oh, I work with Grant Cardone, and what they really mean is they were kind of like that guy who wanted Grant Cardone to be their mentor, and they did some graphic designs for him for free. And they say, I worked with Grant Cardone. Well, you know, you did some volunteer work with Grant Cardone. I always tell people, I'm like, show me the contract. How much money did you make working with these guys? That's what really matters. So
what's the biggest life lesson you learned from Kevin Hart and from Akon?
Yeah, so I'll give you an example of how I got the relationship with Kevin Hart. Very similar to the advice that I gave to being a mentor to them. So I met Kevin Hart through a gentleman by the name of Boris Kodjoe. Boris Kodjoe, if you look, he is on TV series with Kevin Hart called The Husbands of Hollywood. So we actually did marketing for Boris. Boris is not as popular as Kevin, but we did a lot of good stuff for Boris. And we did it just to build relationship. Our primary motive was not to make money from it, but we knew that if we could build a relationship with this, it could open doors to other people. So when we finally got to meet Kevin and talk with him, you know, he was wanting to build out a clothing line, brand and stuff. And so he's like, put together a proposal. And I said, okay, this is what we're going to do. We're going to build this. And I kind of laid everything out. He's like, well, how much? I said, no, we're going to do it for free. He's like, really? And I said, yeah, just we'll split a percentage of the profits. You know, we'll get a percentage of the profits of whatever we generate in sales for you. He came back later. He accepted it, but he came back later and he told me, he's like, you know, the last company that did stuff for us, they charged us something like $100,000 to build this website out for us. They built it. And then when it was all done, we never heard from them again. He said, you showed me that you were interested in success more than just making a quick dollar. So that went a long way. And that has built a lot of great relationships with these individuals, is that I was willing to put my work on the line. Like, you don't pay me unless I make you money. And that's kind of how we establish a lot of these relationships.
Is that something that was instilled in you early on in your life? Like something you learned from your parents or some from your mentors, or how did that come across? Because I resonate a lot with that, from my own entrepreneurship, my entrepreneur journey, that I'm always for the success. I don't really care about the upfront payment,
Yeah, I think that is, man, it's just the only way I feel good about it is like, let me prove myself. Let me, because obviously I have an agency where we do charge monthly retainers and things like that. But to establish a relationship with someone at a high profile like that, I understand that there's this huge gulf of trust that you have to be able to cross. And so the easiest way to do that is take the risk off of them and put it all on me. And when you do that, people can't say no to that. Is when you're like, hey, all the risk is on me, then it makes a win-win relationship.
That's a really, really great life lesson. That's a very good lesson. How about Grant Cardone? Because I read his book back in 2013 when he was not very famous. It was called the 10X Rule. And he had this very, he had this YouTube show with his wife, and it was really, on an amateur level. He has really blown up the last few years. What are some of the life lessons you learned from him?
So Grant's an interesting guy. Grant is one of these, I remember doing projects for him, and we would start, for example, that book, there's a book funnel, the Millionaire Booklet. We built the funnels for that and ran ads for it. And I remember when we first got it going, we'd say to him, it's like, hey, these are the numbers. There's not a really big ROI on this. And he'd be like, who cares about ROI? Just get as many of those books out there as possible. So he had this crazy fanaticism about, look, just get my message, my brand, my face out there to as many people, and the ROI will catch up later. So he understood the value of a personal brand, just being everywhere. So that was number one thing that I learned from him. And then number two that I always look back and I kind of laugh about is from a tech nerd type guy, we like to use words like optimize the funnel and then start to scale up and stuff. I remember one time I was telling Grant, he's like, why aren't we spending more? Why aren't we spending more? I'm like, well, we're optimizing the funnel. He's like, I don't care about optimizing. And he said, how we do it is we change the tire on the car as it's driving 100 miles per hour down the road. I'm like, okay. So in other words, he's like, I want to go as fast as possible. If you have to fix things, you don't pull over on the side of the road and stop the car. You keep the car going and you fix it as you're going. So really interesting. I learned a lot, and that side of him taught me a lot in growing an agency and a business.
So you would say Grant, he always had this idea this vision of building a big personal brand from the beginning, then from the get-go, so to speak, at all costs, so to speak.
Attention is currency. Attention is currency. When you have attention, you convert that into currency, into money, into whatever you want. Yeah.
That's a very good quote. Attention is currency. Yeah. I have a last question for you, Paul.
Right.
What do you read in your free time? What's your favorite blog or what's your favorite book?
Okay, so I'm not in my office with all my books, but I can tell you I've got a few books. Books I like Russell Brunson's books, Expert Secrets, Traffic Secrets, all his secrets. I always think that's funny is people, if it's a secret, why are you writing a book about it? But that's how marketers are. Speaking of secrets, here's another book, probably not known by a lot of people, but this is called Solomon's Secret. It's basically financial wisdom from King Solomon. Biblical perspectives. Another one that I'm reading is Business Secrets from the Bible, written by a Jewish rabbi. Another cool one. This is a really cool book. I think your audience would love it. Tools of Titans by Tim Ferriss. I think you mentioned in LinkedIn profile that his 4-hour work week was something that revolutionized your life. This is a really cool one because it's not a difficult read. Each chapter is kind of like life hacks from experts. It's a cool book. So that's just a few books I like.
I loved. By the way, just the fun comments. You're really about the secrets book. Like all the titles, they're all about secrets.
Like if it's a secret, why are you putting it in the book and telling everybody? People, marketers can't keep secrets.
Yeah,
don't tell
really
a
funny.
marketer anything unless you want everybody to know about it, because we know they write books about secrets.
Because 3 of the books you mentioned had secrets in their title.
Yeah. I'm going to write a book, all the other marketers' secrets.
Tools of Titans. I have the same book at home. I love it because it's a book that you read like a few chapters and then you're like, okay, that's great. And then maybe a month later, you'll be like, all right, let me find something about fitness.
Which is really cool.
I reread this chapter about stretching the other day because I want to work on my stretching, for example. And I love that. And then, there's business advices and all of that. And it's a huge book, but it's a great read. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Paul, where can people find you to learn more about you online and who? Yeah.
Yeah, sure. So the easiest way, we probably said it a couple times here in this podcast, is my Instagram. My Instagram is Paul, just Paul. Send me a message there, connect with me. My website is paulgetter.com.
It's been a pleasure to have you on the show, Paul. I had a lot of fun. I learned a lot. And I hope I'm sure our audience learned a lot as well from this chat. So thank you.
It's my pleasure. Stay connected, man.
Thank you for listening to Fika with Rice. I hope you enjoyed the show. Who do you want to have on our show? Let us know by sending me an email at fredrik@absoluteinternship.com. And before you go, if you like this conversation, don't forget to subscribe to our show on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, YouTube, or Spotify to get to listen to more inspirational stories and life hacks. We'll really appreciate it. See you next time, and much gratitude for listening.